With many clubs struggling to do fundraising as a normal, we need alternatives, and online fundraising can be one of those alternatives. We're fortunate to have with us Verona Lions Treasurer Steve Seha with us, and he was going to give a presentation on online fundraising using Square. Lion Steve?
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Hello, everyone. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. When I was asked back in the spring by my club to look into fundraising options online, one of the first things I did was I went out to the Lions virtual classroom and on their YouTube site, and I was able to watch a video from Chris Lewis from the Gravenhurst, Ontario Lions relating to the use of Square to build their site. And so after watching that, which was about a 30-minute video, I decided that that was a pretty easy platform to use, and so I decided to dig into Square a little bit more. So one of the things I want to do tonight is just talk a little bit about what Square is about, show you an example of how we built our site for the Verona Lions, talk a little bit about advantages of the site, some basics as far as cost goes, some recommendations that I have based on my experiences, and some ideas as far as how to build your site. And so as far as Square goes, Square is just simply a website for building an online donation site. I think it's very user-friendly, very flexible. The cost is reasonable. One of the things that is really appealing is it has a mobile app that goes along with it that can be used on during events like brat sales, things like that, and provides a touchless capability for payment with credit cards and debit cards and so forth. And so using Square, I went through a process of building our site. This is a screenshot of the first main page that I built. And you'll see there's a header portion up at the top of the screen. There's a main banner portion in the middle that allows you to put a photo and a background image if you want, and also allows you to put a donate now button and maybe a little description to go along with that. Then below that, you would have a general donation section where you can customize the number and amounts of the buttons that you want to make available to people who visit your site. We started with 25 and worked our way up. There is a button for $0 over on the far right that can be used by anyone if they want to put in a custom amount. And then when they click on donate, it takes them to a page where they can enter their information for payment. Also, we added a contact us portion where people can put in their name and email address if they wanted to contact us. That submission would go to our club's email site. And then below that, I added a section about our story and put a link on there to our eClubhouse, a little bit of a description, and then finally in the footer portion of things, just some address information, and also some links that allow us to link to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our Twitter page. So all of those things were done using the Square website, and I'll try to cover a little bit about that as we go forward. As far as advantages to having the site, it certainly is an easy means to take in donations. We can share that link out to anyone via Facebook or maybe in a signature block for emails. Donations are deposited directly into the club's activity account. There's no administrative involvement if somebody makes a donation. We can also use the site to showcase support of the causes that our club supports. And as I mentioned earlier, you have touchless credit card debit payments that can be done during events. And it gives us an additional way to spread information about our club. As far as some of the costs involved in the basics, I actually used two websites for building our donation website. The first was GoDaddy. you may be familiar with that name, and this is where you would go out and purchase a domain name. A domain name example would be like espn.com. And so when you go out to GoDaddy and you're looking for a name to use for your website, you can actually search the site and see if it's available. I ended up using the Verona, Wisconsin Lions.org and .com domains. I purchased them each for about $11. So the cost is only about $22. It's very inexpensive per year. And then as far as Square goes, that's the actual site where you go to set up your account and enter your banking information, and you actually build your website. The cost of the transactions that Square takes as their portion of things is 2.9% of the donation plus 30 cents. So if somebody goes onto your site and they make a $50 donation, for example, their fee is $1.75. They just subtract that out of the $50 donation and they deposit the remaining $48.25 into your account. One thing I should mention also is that if you make payments via mobile app, their fees are actually a little bit less for that. I think it's about 2.6% and 10 cents a transaction if you're doing something like a broad sale or what have you. The other cost that's involved with setting up the site is if you go with a domain from GoDaddy and you want to link that GoDaddy domain to the Square account, Square does charge you $6 a month for doing that. There is a free option for that where Square will add their own domain or subdomain to the end of your name, which is .square.site. So for example, it might be veronalions.square.site. And the reason I decided that I wanted to go with our own domain was I thought it was easier to follow. It wasn't as forgettable as .square.site, I thought. So that's the reason we decided to go with the $6 a month, $72 annually. Some recommendations when you set up your GoDaddy and Square login accounts is I would recommend using a club email address, not somebody's personal address, just in case more than one person needs to get in and access things. Make sure you're using a complex password and perhaps two-factor authentication, which I'll talk about in a minute. You want to understand that you're going to be putting your banking information for your activity account into this Square site, and you don't want to make it an easily hacked site where somebody could get at your banking information. Regarding GoDaddy, again, this is a site where you can go out at godaddy.com and purchase a domain name. And then when you purchase that name, the annual renewal costs can be linked to your club's administrative account. So again, I purchased VeronaWisconsinLions.org and .com. Also on GoDaddy, you can decide what name you want to use. You can search that name and find out if it's available. And when you do, the cost again is very minimal, something that I think is worth it. You just use your club email address again for logging in and set up a complex password for it. GoDaddy will try to sell you some extras that you do not need. They will try to give you want you to add a email account, purchase domain protection plan. But all you really need from GoDaddy is to establish the domain name, and that's it. Don't let them sell you anything else. As far as Square goes, there are two components to that. The first part is the account setup, where you go in, you create your account, you enter your bank account information and club information like your location and so on. And then the second portion of Square is just designing the website, how your site is going to look and how it's going to function. So that's what I want to focus on as we go forward. First of all, when you sign up for Square, it's a free sign up with an email address and a password. They take you through some prompts to enter your domain information, the bank account information, and how you'll accept payments online. You then go into a dashboard, and the dashboard has an account settings option where you go in and put in information like your business name, which in our case is the Verona Lions Club of Wisconsin, an email address. And this is also where you can go in and set up your two-factor authentication. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, it's just an extra layer of security. So instead of just going in and putting in your password when you log in, you're also texted a code to your phone that you also must put in order to be able to get into your site. So I would recommend that just for the security reason. As far as the account settings go, this screenshot just shows you that there's a bank account option where you go in and you enter your banking information. I linked our Square account to our activity account because we want all the money that we take in at club events or online donations to go into that particular account. We also have location information that we put in, and this information can end up going on the electronic receipts that customers receive after they make a donation to your club. There's also some information about club bios and logos that you can add, and those in turn also get added to receipts and things like that for branding purposes. This is an example of a page where you can design the kind of receipt that you want your customers to see when they make a donation. And so with ours, I put our logo up at the top, and they give you options for the colors you can use and what kind of logo you want and so on. So it's really pretty slick the way they allow you to design your own receipt. Then once you've done that account setup kind of thing with Square, the next step is really starting to design your website. And so there is again, a dashboard. You click on the online option for that, and it takes you out to a location where you can start building your site. There's a link that is called Edit Site or Edit Website. You just simply click on that, and then it starts taking you through a process of asking you, how do you want to use your site? So it's very user-friendly in that sense. You start selecting the features you want to start with. In our case, we wanted to collect donations. We wanted to collect email addresses and maybe include a contact form. And anything that you don't include, you can always go back and add later on. Next, they'll ask you which domain do you want to use. And as I mentioned earlier, our club decided to use a GoDaddy domain, so I would use a domain that I own. You have the ability to go with the free option for Square subdomain if you want, where they add that .square.site to the end if you wish. Then you start building your site, and your home page on your website is kind of broken down into sections. A header section where you can put certain things if you wish, a main banner, which in our case I put a photograph, a collage of photos of our club members, a little bit of a description and so on. Then as you continue down building your page, as you click on these options over on the left, they just simply show you options that you can start experimenting with. So if you want to add a logo, or how do you want to arrange your navigation to look, any icons or things or colors that you want to use. So pretty straightforward as you build your site. And again, as you click on these options going down, they just show you the options that are available for that section. When you get to your general donation area, you can write up a description like we did. You can add buttons for the dollar amounts that you want to make available. Once again, the one that says 0.00 is just for custom donations. You can even highlight one like I did for $50 to kind of encourage people to start their donation at $50 and see what happens. As you go down further, the Contact Us section is just simply name and email address where people can send questions or comments to our website, our Gmail email address rather. And then we also have an About Us section that I just simply linked to the eClubhouse site that we have. And the footer information, like I mentioned earlier, allows you to connect to other social media that your club may be involved in. Finally, once you've gone through and you've built the basics of your site, you have the ability to preview your site before it actually goes live. And so they provide you with a preview button in the upper right-hand corner. You click on that and it will basically show you a very functional website that you can check to make sure all your links are working and so on. And if everything's okay, they give you a publish button. And when you click that publish button, that's when your site goes live. The whole world can see it and they can start using it. As far as taking payments, in addition to taking payments online, where they can go in and make a donation, you can also take payments using the mobile app. And so Square supports devices that can be paired with your phone using the Square mobile app so that you can take payments at events such as brat sales and so on. And so they offer a couple of different kind of readers. The reader that has the credit card inserted inside of it, I was able to purchase a couple of those, I think from the Best Buy website for about $35 a piece. Square will actually send you a free swipe reader when you sign up for their account. You can purchase additional ones for about $10 a piece, but those support chip cards and credit card magnetic strips and so on. They also support touchless pay. If you have Apple or Google Pay, some of those users, they can just tap their phone on your device and it can pay for whatever it is that they're donating to. For the mobile app, you just go to your mobile store, you download the free Square Point of Sale app and you install that. When you do that, you have the ability, if you purchase one of these readers, to pair the reader to your phone, which is a pretty straightforward step using Bluetooth. Once you're successfully paired, you're ready to start taking a donation. And so one of the things you can do with that mobile app is there's a create new button on it where you can go through and start creating items that you want to sell. For example, maybe you are at a brat sale and you want to create a meal. And so for brat soda and chips, we can create a $5 meal. If somebody says, I want that, you click on that and it'll automatically bring up $5 that they can charge to their credit or debit card. We have a lot of different options for doing this. As far as taking an actual donation or payment for your online club, your mobile app will also match what you have available on your website. So on our website, we do have things like JDRF and Joining Forces for Families, Lions Eye Bank, and those things show up on the mobile app as well. So in the event that Lions Eye Bank was selected, they can then choose the amount they want to donate. They click on add, and they put their credit card in, and we charge them whatever amount that they wanted to donate. And after they make that donation, they can receive a receipt that we customized on our website with our logo via email or text. And when they do that, they receive something that looks like this. And so there's a lot of flexibility in terms of design with Square that I really liked a lot of flexibility with the mobile app, and it gives us a real good way to put our presence out there and look good doing it. So that, in a nutshell, is the process I went through to build our site. Just some additional resources I quickly want to mention. If the PowerPoint is shared, or if you'd like me to share this with you, let me know. My email address is steve.cia@gmail.com. It contains a link to the video that I first watched for Square. Also contains a link to our website, which I'm just going to bring up real quickly to show you that when you go out to the site, it's going to look a little different from my presentation because I dressed it up a little bit. Once I got comfortable learning how things worked, I changed the Donate Now option to show buckets of information, or buckets of causes rather, that we want to donate to. And so we have a general donation site and other causes that you simply can click on to make a donation. So for sharing resources worldwide, I can click on that link. It takes me to a page where I can make the donation, click on donate, and it asks for credit or debit card payment information, and you're good to go. And again, those donations go directly into your activity account. So in a nutshell, that was what I learned regarding how to build things after my initial introduction to Square. Finally, just some Lions images and graphics links I put in there. You can also use Google Images for things if you need to. And I use the Windows 10 snipping tool that's found on most computers just for screen captures and things like that. So you can just go to town on all the things you want to try to do with your website. That's pretty much what I wanted to show. I was just going to open it up for questions.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions. Andy Grossfold, do you want to unmute and ask your question, please?
Hi, Steve. Thanks. Great presentation. I had recently set up our account for a drive-through barbecue chicken dinner that we did. When I was going through that process, setting up the site, I had originally tried to put the Lions International logo in, but I believe it prompted me to upgrade our free account to some sort of a next level account or some sort of a paid account in order to actually use a logo. I just didn't remember how much that cost, and I was wondering if you remembered.
For all of the things that I put on our site, the cost was the $6 per month that I had mentioned earlier. They offer what's called a personal account, which is a very basic account, and that's what the $6 one is. Then they offer accounts that step up in price, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever. And those are options if, for example, you don't want to see the Square logo on your website. I didn't really care. It really didn't matter to me to see their logo. It was really more that just to pay that $6 gave me the flexibility I needed to use our own domain and to use the logos like you're mentioning. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Okay. There's also a question from Todd Nelson. Todd, would you like to unmute and ask your question, please? Well, I'll ask the question and you can respond to it, Steve. Says, how often do you write the donation checks from donations that you receive?
Well, the way that it works, first of all, with the buckets that we have, for example, when we get a donation, if somebody clicked on Lions iBank, for example, and made a $100 donation, we not only have that amount minus the small fees go into our activity account, but we also receive an email from Square saying that you have a donation for Lions iBank, for example. So we know what it was for. And then as a club, we just simply decide how often we're going to write a check to that particular cause. So when they do donate to those buckets that I created, they're not donating to their website, they're donating to our activity club account. And so we then write the check to them on behalf of the Verona Lions.
Okay, one other question from Ron Allen. Ron, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Sure. Actually, Steve just answered it with the previous question.
Okay.
On the keyboard. Thank you very much. It's been a great presentation, Steve.
Thank you.
There's one more question, Steve, and I believe, no, this wasn't answered in the presentation from my memory. The question is from Andy again. Do you add in the processing fee when a member pays through Square or just eat that cost? And Andy, that's for dues?
Yeah, we had looked at that as an option. I believe there might be options available for that at added cost, but we decided that we wanted to make things as simple as possible and just simply say, if you're making a $50 donation, it's a $50 donation. they never know that a small portion of their fee goes to Square unless we inform them of that. Since we've not really had a long discussion on that, we'll probably be talking about that as a club and deciding maybe how we want to do that. But for now, right, if you make a $50 donation, we get $48.25. Square takes their portion. I think that's still up for discussion within our club, whether or not we want to make any kind of additional means to charge that fee to the actual customer. We just felt the fee was so small and inconsequential that we didn't really want to address it at this time.
If it makes any difference, what our club does is if somebody gives a $50 donation via Square account, it's $48.60, and that's what we donate. Is the $48.60.
Okay, thank you, Lion Steve. It's great information, and I'm sure many clubs can benefit from this presentation and maybe try to set up their own Square account and donations on their website. Again, if you have further questions, Lion Steve said he is available, and his address was, is it steve.siha@gmail.com?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you again, Lion Steve.
Thank you.